Hello, as with you always, this is Rich doing another video tonight on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful evening wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And I got to start with this. Coinbase urges Congress to scrap capital gains tax on Bitcoin, XRP, and others. Now, this isn't a full scrap of the capital gains taxes. It's just for daily payments. But I thought the promise was to get rid of capital gains on U.S.-made cryptocurrencies from day one. And that never happened. You know why it never happened? Because they never put a deadline on it. I'm not believing this administration is going to get anything done unless it has a deadline. That's why the market structure bill, having that March 1st deadline, I believe that's going to happen. But to get rid of the capital gains on crypto, I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. The middle class may have been wiped out. It's either rich or poor now. Own assets or get left behind. Top 1% of U.S. earners now have more wealth than the middle class. They've been wiping out the middle class in the United States for years. And the wealth gap it's gone at this point. The middle class is now non-existent. It's either rich or you're poor. And that's why you have to be invested in something so you can break away from this. So you could join the 1%. The rich. And that's what XRP can do for you. As long as you continue to hold it. As long as you don't sell it too soon. Now, I'm going to talk about this in a way that everybody probably agrees with, but a lot of people just won't admit. In a video yesterday, I was talking about the Trump tariffs, and somebody said, "You're actually praising this? You think this is a great idea?" Maybe it was the tone of my voice, or maybe it was the way I said it, but I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about tariffs. And you might not agree with me on this, and that's fine. These are just my thoughts. Trump raised global tariff to 15%. He said he's immediately hiking the global tariff from 10% to 15%, blasting the Supreme Court ruling as anti-American. I see people saying China's paying the tariffs. No, we are paying the tariffs. 96% of Trump's tariff costs are being paid by Americans, while foreign exporters pay only 4%. I'm a small business owner, and everything in my business went up since this tariff talk began. Cat 5 cable, solid copper, jumped up 20%. Security systems jumped up 10%, almost 15% now, and they're going to continue to go up. What the tariffs actually are a consumer tax that me and you pay. But most people, they don't see that. And remember, the promise is once we get tariffs, we're going to end the IRS. Have you seen a timeline put on ending the IRS? Some sort of deadline where that's going to happen. The reason I don't think there's a deadline is because I don't think it's going to happen at all. Not anytime soon. And these tariffs are still going to continue. And then they talk about paying off the debt as well. We are never paying off that debt. They want to tokenize the debt. That's their big plan. And honestly, I'm telling you now, everything continues to rise in price, and it's going to continue to rise in price every time that tariffs are hiked up even higher. And how is your portfolio now? You know, I keep seeing people saying Trump is great for crypto. Well, are you rich? No, neither am I. But you know who's getting rich? People that are surrounding the president. Insiders breaking. The same Trump insider who shorted the flash crash with over $200 million just opened longs on ETH, Bitcoin, Solana, ENA, and Hype, totaling $75 million. What does he know this time? Remember how we watched crypto pump and dump all throughout the last couple of months, and most people got liquidated along the way. That's why the market is in such fear. I don't even call it extreme fear. It's extreme uncertainty, because the chart screams bullish and then all of a sudden it starts dumping out because of some sort of conflict in the world, or there's more tariff talk. And that's been going on for how long now, and people still don't get it. And then everybody's like, I'm so bullish every time Eric Trump talks. Eric Trump is pushing the same exact narrative that everybody else is pushing on the mainstream media. Bitcoin is going to $1 million. Take a listen.
Well, too, and I know stablecoin is different than Bitcoin, but you've been big proponents and bullish on Bitcoin as well.
We still are. I'm a huge proponent of Bitcoin. I do think it hits $1 million. I think it's one of the greatest performing asset classes. I mean, go back 2 years. Bitcoin was at what, 16,000? Where is it at right now? 70?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you look at the last 10 years, Bitcoin has gone up 70% a year on average, year over year for the last decade. Name an asset class that has performed better than Bitcoin. And now, obviously, you have lots of volatility. If you don't want volatility, go invest in some muni. Go have a great time. Go invest in some treasury.
You know what I hear when these people say Bitcoin's going to $1 million and it's up only? I hear them saying, I just bought a pile of Bitcoin and I need retail to start jumping into Bitcoin so I could use them as exit liquidity. I mean, Saylor's been saying it for how long? And I honestly believe the days of Bitcoin and speculation and the whole belief system, it's all coming to an end, because utility is going to take away this entire market from Bitcoin. Utility is going to drive this market forward, because these utility-driven cryptocurrencies actually solve a real-world problem. Scarcity is not a use case. And then how about this? I remember when these two coins dropped, and I said back then, these are going to turn into rug pulls. And people said, you're absolutely crazy. We have a pro-crypto president, and he's going to make sure that these stable coins only go up from here. Well, Trump meme coin is down 93%. Melania is down 99%. Insiders earned over $600 million in token sales and fees. Investors are facing over $4 billion in losses. If you still think that Trump is making crypto great, you need help. Using Binance chart, because they look the worst. It doesn't even matter if you make them look worse or not. They both ended up as complete rug pulls. And I see people spinning this as well. Well, we're in a bear market now. Just wait until the bull market returns. I'm telling you now, they're going to all-time highs. It's like, I've been in this space long enough to see rug pull after rug pull. I was a victim of rug pulls early on in my crypto journey. I knew this was going to happen the day those coins launched. Eric Trump and XRP connection. Take a listen to this.
How do you feel about Doge? How do you feel about XRP, Ripple? How do you feel about, Ethereum? Where are you with the other three?
Know all of them extremely well. Know Brad very well at XRP, and he's done a great job. Know Ethereum very well. I'm one of the guys who was early on this year saying buy Ethereum as it's crashing, and Ethereum's come ripping back. I mean, I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. I'm a big fan of Ethereum. Bitcoin is digital gold. Ethereum is definitely the oil by which all financial systems are going to run on.
Remember that clip, and everybody said, oh, Eric Trump is so bullish. He knows Brad and he understands XRP. Until Eric Trump comes out and says XRP is going to be the backbone of domestic and cross-border payments in the United States, I don't see it as bullish. This is a billionaire club. And of course, billionaires know each other. It's a very big club, and you and I are not in it. The one good thing about it, though, is we are invested in it. We know XRP is an elite cryptocurrency. We know that it's going to be utilized for on-demand liquidity and cross-border payments. But the reason I wanted to mention this is because I wanted to give you my actual thoughts on how I feel about this whole pro-crypto administration and crypto right now. Because every time you say something, right away people are like, oh, well, Trump's playing 5D chess. No, they are getting rich while we are sitting here still waiting for it to happen, still waiting for that breakout to come. This has been delay after delay after delay throughout this entire cycle. Remember last year when everybody was like, this is it, XRP is going to double digits very soon. Then all of a sudden, the tariff talk began, and then Bitcoin tanked, taking down the rest of the market with it, time and time again. Even the Clarity Act, they kicked that can down the road. Remember, that was supposed to be done before Thanksgiving. Then it was supposed to be done before Christmas. Now we have a deadline for March 1st. As long as it doesn't get delayed again, I think it could actually happen this time around. And maybe this market will react in a very positive way and the breakout will finally start. But I wanted to say this because I see people in the comments section saying, oh, you're just another one of those Trump guys that only believe that good things happen while my portfolio sucks. And I get it. We're not rich. These people are becoming richer and richer as time goes on while we sit back and hope this is the year we get financial freedom. The good thing is, I really honestly do believe it happens in 2026. And I got to mention this as well. Regulations, lawsuit ending. The private ledger can reflect to public. XRP is not worth 60 cents. This was back when XRP was worth 60 cents. And remember, they said they seen the private ledger and the price of XRP was $327,000. Now, I don't know how true that is. I think it's going to be in the thousands as well if it needs to be utilized by the banks. But I want you to hear what David Schwartz says, because that is what is important. Because people keep saying that the private ledger is always going to have a different price than the public ledger.
The value proposition of XRP is that it has these liquidity pools. If it doesn't make sense to isolate something, like there's no place where gold is worth twice as much as it is now, because if there was, people would just bring gold there and they would they would buy gold somewhere else and they would sell it there. Unless the only way that you can have the value be very different in two places is if there's a lot of friction. And if there's friction, someone will make a business of removing that friction. So I don't see any realistic scenario where XRP has significantly different value unless something's wrong. So like a good example of a case, there was a time where the value of XRP, they called it the kimchi premium, right? Where the value of XRP in some Asian countries was very high, but that was because there were capital controls, right? That was because things were bad. I think that's a sign that something is not going well. The value proposition of XRP is that you can take it to all of the places, right? If I sell you some gold and you say, hey, this gold can only be used in jewelry, you're like, well, that kind of sucks. I don't want that gold, right? The value proposition of gold is that you have access to the entire value proposition of gold. And so I don't see any scenario in which where it makes sense to snip pieces off again, unless.
So what David is telling you is there's not going to be two places where XRP is at two different prices. So if the price on the private ledger and XRP is being utilized by the banks is $1,000, guess what? It's $1,000 on the exchanges as well. All we're waiting for is the banks to come out of the testing phase and go live with XRP. Then we will see the true price of this cryptocurrency. And I think that's coming before 2028. Breaking: SEC to approve on new XRP ETF. Crane Shares files amendment number 2 for Coinbase 50 index ETF, including XRP. Crane Shares has officially filed pre-effective amendment number 2 to its S1 registration for the Coinbase 50 index ETF. The document explicitly keeps XRP as a permitted holding with an estimated 8 to 9% weight in the index. That means if approved by the SEC, this ETF would hold actual spot crypto assets, not derivatives, meaning XRP would be bought and custodied via Coinbase. So I want to see what happens with this ETF as well, because the ETFs, we continue to see inflows, even though the inflows are down a little bit right now. That's because XRP is just going sideways right now. If it dips, you'll see the ETF buy the dip, the ETF buyers. If it pops up in price, they'll also have FOMO for XRP as well. The ETFs are a win-win because it takes XRP out of circulation. And that's how I believe we will see the price hit much higher levels, and then maybe the banks then go live with XRP. At a higher price, XRP is going to be utilized a lot more. Because think about it, you're not going to buy a massive amount of XRP for cross-border payments at a low price, because every time you have to send multiple payments, you might be using up your entire XRP holdings to make those payments. It has to be at a higher price to be used worldwide for cross-border payments, domestic payments, micropayments, and beyond, even moving tokenized assets from point A to point B. And that's how we all get rich in the end. But until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.